Hello everyone! Last week we talked about the story of alternate Durotan, the one that we got to party with during Warlords of Draenor. That means that we've only got one version left that I really want to talk about, the Durotan of the Warcraft movie. You can see the story within the Warcraft movie as its own thing, right? A movie adaptation or an alternate reality like Warlords of Draenor. It doesn't affect the story of the main universe, it doesn't affect the story of the main universe Durotan, but it should be good fun to talk about, so let's begin, shall we? The story begins with Durotan and the Frostwolf clan living within Frostfire Ridge. There's no mention of his brothers Fenris or Gnar, but his father Gerard is leading the clan, and his mother Gaia stands at his side as the clan's lorekeeper, someone who remembers the tales of their clan, their traditions, all that good stuff. Orgrim Doomhammer is also in the picture, but in this universe he isn't of the Blackrock clan, instead he's part of the Frostwolves. The clan has been living a rough life in the cold north, but their roots are solid, and the hardships of the world has hardened them. Yet times are about to change with the arrival of a warlock named Gul'dan under the banner of Parley.
Parley? That's the one! Parley! Parley!
The green orc causes quite a stir within the clan, especially because he does not travel alone. He is a slave called Garona on a chain. The custom of Parley is that you stay your hand and you tell three things: who you are, what you offer, and what you ask. Gul'dan informs them that he has no clan of origin, he has no name or father to speak of, but he does have a clan of sorts. He offers a very simple thing, the dearest thing in the world: he offers life. Their world is in jeopardy. The effects in the north are not so clear yet, but in the south they can clearly tell that their world is in trouble. For demonstration, he has an apple with him, and after slicing it open, the orcs could see that the apple was simply dead inside. Not rotten, not eaten away by worms or disease, simply dead, desiccated, and brown with no seeds. Gul'dan offers them life, a way out of this mess. He offers them a place within his horde. Those that joined before the Frostwolves, they've done so freely and gladly. They kept their own chieftains and customs, even their own names, but those chieftains do answer to Gul'dan. Together, they are part of something greater, part of a greater whole. Together, they would travel to a whole new world, a world that would allow them to survive, to live, to not die with the planet. Gul'dan's words might sound sweet. Durotan even asked to hear more about this new world, but the shaman Drek'thar could clearly see that death clings to the warlock. We honor our traditions, said Gaia, and we do not forsake who we are when times grow difficult. Even Gerard refused the offer from the warlock, and as a closing part of the parley, a knife was drawn. Gul'dan did not intend to murder Gerard on the spot. This was simply part of the ritual, a sign of trust. He brought this knife and could have used it, but he did not, and in exchange Gerard accepted the blade, he cut himself with it, and he returned it to its owner. Now get out, Gerard said, and with the arrival of this warlock, the troubles of the Frostwolf clan began. 3 entire suns later, and still the clan talked about nothing but the green orc. Durotan and Orgrim discovered that there were invaders in the forest, and they quickly went back to camp to report. Gerard had mysteriously fallen ill, but at this time his clan needed a strong leader, so he joined the war party nonetheless. It turned out that these invaders were the Red Walkers that Gul'dan had talked about during their parley. Orcs that covered themselves in the blood of their prey, reveling in the decay. In the middle of battle, one of the Red Walkers called for Mak'gora, an honorable duel to the death to decide the fate of this battle. Gerard had never heard of an orc call for this challenge in the midst of battle, yet he couldn't refuse, or the dishonor would be his. This sickness will pass, it will not claim you, he told himself. You are a chieftain, and it is nothing. You will defeat this challenger, and your Frostwolves will wipe out the Red Walkers. Empowering words to be spoken to yourself. Yet the disease severely weakened Gerard, and he lost the fight. Let it be thus, Gerard thought. I will die in a fair. And suddenly he understood. Gerard's enemy had known he would be easy to defeat. The knife, Gul'dan's blade, his gut went as cold as winter, with stark comprehension, and the Red Walker's axe descended. Gerard had fallen ill because Gul'dan had poisoned the blade. He was slain by the Red Walkers, but his wolf Ice finished off his killer, and the Frostwolf clan did survive the overall battle, yet they did have a chieftain to mourn. Durotan was next in line to pick up the mantle of leadership, but before that could happen, there was a ritual to go through. The shaman Drek'thar asked the spirits of earth, fire, wind, water and life to judge young Durotan to see if he was worthy. When the spirit of life came to him, it tested Durotan by allowing him to experience life with all of its joys and fears, and horrors and losses and blessings and power. It stretched the orc to not only feel his own life, but that of all its clan members. A chieftain was a caretaker of his people, and how could he act for them if he did not truly feel them? Their lives failed him for just a moment, and when he opened his eyes again, he looked around and he saw the faces of his people, familiar as his own reflection in the pool of water, but now also strange to him, new in their sudden precious beauty, their vibrant essence of life. The Frostwolves had followed his father, and now they would follow him. He would do what was best for them, as Gerard had always strived to do. The spirits have accepted you, Durotan, son of Gerard, son of Durkosh, came Drek'thar's voice. To you, Frostwolves! The answering cheer was deafening, and Durotan was accepted as their leader. First order of business was to prepare for the winter to come, so Durotan had his people store as much food as they could. Orgrim and the hunting party were sent out to go fishing, but in the meantime, the Red Walkers, they were not defeated quite yet, so they attacked the Frostwolves, urging Durotan to move his people from the outskirts, all of them closer together in the camp. They survived the winter, without any deaths, yet the chieftain found himself up at night, counting the stored grain, hoping that what he was doing was right. A great responsibility was placed on his shoulders, and he didn't really have anyone to talk about this, until the day came that an exiled Frostwolf returned to the clan. Drek'thar was born frail and weak, and as it was tradition with the Frostwolves, the weak ones are exiled and usually don't return. Drek'thar was different though, and it seems that the Drek'thar of the movie universe shares the same origin story with her counterpart of the main universe, whereas she was not a warrior born, she herself turned her into a warrior by surviving on her own. Back at camp, she told about how she had interacted and worked together with other orcish clans. She had even spoken with the Draenor. She had heard about this warlock Gul'dan and the Red Walkers, except they weren't just red anymore. They now also covered themselves in the blood of the Draenor and even their fellow orcs. She and Durotan spoke a lot with each other. She offered knowledge to the clan, and Durotan taught her how to ride on wolves. Ice himself, Gerard's old wolf, chose Drek'thar to be his new partner, and eventually Durotan knew that Drek'thar had stolen his heart. I think my heart would be stronger if it held your love. And now he risked taking a look at her. Her eyes had widened as he spoke, and her breath came quickly, as she had not pulled away her hand. I would do everything in my power to be a good husband to you, even with all the burdens I bring. Drek'thar, daughter of Kelkar, son of Rakish, will you have me? Drek'thar told him that he was an idiot for not speaking sooner, and that she would have him for as long as he would let her speak the truth to him. Whatever happens, whatever burdens or challenges would be placed in their path, they would face it together.
Whatever happens. Whatever happens.
It's a good thing that they made this promise to each other, since those that have seen the Warcraft movie or know the basic story behind these characters now, you know that the Frostwolf clan eventually does end up with Gul'dan and the Horde. The reason behind this is that, first of all, Drek'thar received a vision from the spirits, and shortly after their Great Father Mountain, it started spewing lava, forcing them to move away from the area where they had lived for generations. They moved to a Draenor spot called Haven, and they received another vision which led them to a hot spring. This gave them the impression that moving to Haven was a very good idea. When spring returned, with it came the green orc Gul'dan, offering Durotan the same as he had offered his father. The warlock's sweet words nearly convinced the new chieftain to join the Horde, but Gul'dan made one violent mistake by calling it my Horde. For all his talk of caretaking, of saving orcs from hardships and perhaps extinction, Gul'dan was no kind uncle, selflessly gathering devastated clans to his breast to nurture them again. He wanted something from them, he needed something from them, and if the spirits did not wish his company, then the Frostwolves did not either. Gul'dan was pretty pissed with this rejection, and he left their second parley without even completing the ritual, without drawing his knife, and the dishonor was his. The seed of doubt was planted though. Some of the Frostwolf orcs, they did want to join the Horde, but Durotan was the leader, and he made the calls. Their world was dying around them. Animals became smaller and smaller. No children were born in the clan. Fresh water and food were harder to get, and another vision assaulted Drek'thar. He screamed that the earth was hungry, and shortly afterwards the earth simply opened up beneath them and swallowed several of their clan members. Haven was no safe haven after all, and it was clear that the spirits needed their help. They would travel as far north as they could to the Seat of Spirits and see what they could do to heal the world, to heal the spirits. But as they traveled, they found out that the very soil itself was on fire. The elements are sick and they turn upon another. But there were patches of ground safe to travel across, so some of the clan stayed behind while Durotan, Gaia, Drek'thar and some of the finest warriors, they pressed on. At this seat, they discovered that some of the Red Walkers, they'd been waiting for them. A quick battle ended their lives, and while Gaia and Drek'thar, they went further in to communicate with the spirits, the rest of them made sure to clean up the mess so that the blood of these foul orcs would not further desecrate this place. The spirits chose Drek'thar to communicate through, and Gaia listened intently. You have come. And here at the end, you have cleansed our sacred place. For that, we are grateful, but you are too late, Lord Keeper, said Drek'thar's voice, with such a deep sense of sorrow that tears filled Gaia's eyes and spilled down her cheeks. The blooded ones remembered the old legends and came to claim our seat for their own. We were able to defend this, the heart of our seat, but even though they could not enter here, they drained us greatly. We have been dying. Slowly, and now we are all but gone. We reached out to all the Draenor shaman. We begged for aid. Most could not hear us. Some did, but they turned away their faces, unwilling to believe what was truly happening. Still, others rejected us outright, choosing to follow Gul'dan and his warlock magic of death instead of us and our magic of life. You, the Frostmoles, almost heard us in time. Almost, the Spirit of Life said, very sadly. Now spirits do not die in the way that an orc might die, but they were too weak to further aid the people on Draenor. They asked the Frostwolf to come over to the Seat of Spirits, not to slowly watch them give in, but to tell them that wherever there is earth, air, fire, water and life, they too would be there. A dire warning that there was no choice but to leave the planet behind. But before they could discuss this, before they could talk about this, danger was approaching. Durotan figured out that the Red Walkers they had faced was only a small hand of those that lived there. The rest of them, they'd already gone ahead and attacked the rest of the people. So they quickly rode back, they assisted in the battle with the last gift of the Spirit of Life, and they captured the war chief of the Red Walkers. Durotan had need of answers and he spoke with the chieftain. The chieftain explained how they had slain Draenor for scaring away a Talbog herd. They covered themselves in their blood, as was their tradition by then, and some of the blood got into their mouths and it tasted sweet. They chased away their rightful food, and so the Draenor had become their rightful food, and the next step to killing and eating orcs themselves was easily made. Take the step, Durotan, son of Garad. Become the chieftain of the Red Wolves. Be a true orc! The words exploded from Durotan, like the fire river from Great Father Mountain, as violent and as hot. We will never be like you. The chieftain laughed. Won't you? Look around. There's nothing left here but dust and bones. You will eat or you will die. Some of the Frostwolf clan members, they've been listening in on this conversation, and their rage and grief and despair, they started to shout. Eat him then! Remember what he had done! Make him suffer! But Durotan had heard enough. They were Frostwolves, and Frostwolves take no joy in suffering. He quickly killed the Red Walker chieftain, and he made his decision. They had tried to endure in the north. They had tried to hold out, while the spirits themselves slowly died. They had tried to keep it together, but now, with the warning of the spirits and a reflection of what could happen to the Frostwolves, Durotan understood that they didn't really have a choice. They would join Gul'dan and his horde. They would step through the portal to a brand new world. Durotan had tried to lead his clan to the best of his abilities, and his people respected the chieftain as they followed him on their long march towards the horde. This is the moment where the Warcraft movie actually begins, with the Frostwolf clan joining the Horde and meeting the other clans, and the war chief of the Horde, Blackhand, appointed by Gul'dan to lead their troops. They're also informed that they'll have to fight for this new home world, something that Gul'dan completely forgot to mention, and that not all of the Horde will be able to step through the portal at the same time. Only the finest warriors will be joining in their initial assault, since they need fuel for their fell bodies and lives to fuel the power that they'll capture on the other side. By this point, Draka is already pregnant, but they figured that she can hide her belly and still join Durotan on this mission. Whatever happens, whatever comes in their way, they would face this together. Gaia and some of the clan do stay behind, while Durotan, Orgrim, Drek'thar and even Drek'thar, they step through the portal into Azeroth. Their unborn child probably has the worst timing. As Drek'thar steps through the portal, she goes into labor. Blackhand is furious that Durotan will bring his pregnant wife with him, but Durotan hears nothing but the anguished cries of his mates. Gul'dan walks up to Drek'thar. He guides her, tells her to push and bring this child into the world. The child was silent. No cries were heard, but Gul'dan wasn't about to give up on this new warrior for the Horde. He used his fell magic, bringing a young child back to life, but at the same time also turned him green. Durotan was of course happy with their newborn son, but the new parents realized that if Gul'dan could corrupt something so innocent as a newborn child, then what chance did their people have? They witnessed how the land around their campsite died, similar to how Draenor had died. They saw how the fel-infused orc were decimated by the guardian of the planets, and they saw that the fel came with a terrible price. Gul'dan was not the way for their people. All he brought with him was death and corruption, so Durotan knew what he had to do.
For orcs, there is no other life but war. No, but with the humans' help, there could be.
The former slave Corona had found a way to the humans, and the chieftain, he found it again. He told her that he wanted to speak with the humans. With their help, they might be able to stand up against Gul'dan, lead their people to a better path, and it seems like Orgrim Doomhammer is standing with his chieftain's decision. You have to realize that it's not an easy choice to make, to side with the enemy against your own people, and despite something inside of him shouting, "Kill them! They are not orcs! Kill them!" Durotan kept a cool head and reminded himself that the lives of his people were more important than bloodlust.
Why are you here?
To save our people.
Corona acted as a translator as they discussed possible plans of working together, but it would all be for nothing. Orgrim Doomhammer, longtime friend of Durotan, he did not believe that standing with the humans was the right thing to do. He betrayed his own chieftain, informed Gul'dan and Blackhand about this meetup, and the orcs of the Horde attack. As you might imagine, things at this point aren't looking really good for Durotan. He was caught trying to betray the Horde, but the only thought on his mind was Drek'thar. He told her everything that had happened. She couldn't believe that Orgrim had betrayed him like that, but there was no time for discussion. She and the baby had to go, Durotan told her, but before they could even argue, Blackhand stood in the doorway. "You are a traitor, Durotan!" Blackhand bellowed. "No," Durotan spoke calmly and from a deep place of certainty. "One who values what we once were. Like you used to." "That time is past," he said angrily, and then more softly, "We are but fuel for the fel now." The war chief's face held not fury or hatred, only detached melancholy. Durotan asked him that if he would submit, would they leave his people be, but Blackhand could not answer. He was the war chief perhaps, but he answered to Gul'dan. Blackhand knew it too, as he merely opened the tent flap and waited. A chieftain must always do what is best for his people, Drek'thar recalled, and she knew that Durotan was going to do what was best. Before he left, she asked him what to call their son, and the name that her husband had come up with was Goel. By speaking the name, she knew that Durotan did not believe that he would ever see it again. He caressed her chin with one finger. Then he turned to Blackhand, striding out of the tent, and out of her life, but never out of her heart. This was indeed the last time that Durotan and Drek'thar would be together, but the story is not quite over yet. They placed Durotan in a cage, together with the rest of the captured humans. They planned to turn him into fuel for the fel. In the meantime, Orgrim got to spend some quality time together with Gul'dan, and the warlock wanted to bless him with the fel as well, but Doomhammer realized that he had made a big mistake. He tried convincing Gul'dan to not infuse him right now. Instead, let's make a display out of it. Show all the other orcs the might of the fel. He didn't really believe that he could convince someone like Gul'dan, only buy himself some time, but not even that was granted. When he finally made his way to Drek'thar's tent, the raiding party had already descended upon the clan. Orgrim told Drek'thar that she had to get out of there. She was furious with him. He should have trusted their chieftain. And he knew she was right. He would do what he could, but now for the baby's sake, she had to go, as he would buy her all the time that was possible. Afterwards, he made his way to Durotan's cage, and he set his war chief free. The two regarded one another for a moment. Then Durotan struck his old friend savagely in the chest. Orgrim stumbled back against the twisted wood of the cage, falling. Instead of striking back, he simply sat there, his head lowered. "I am sorry, Durotan. I did not see how we could side with the humans against our own kind. I was wrong, my chief. Gul'dan's fell magic is destroying us. Durotan asked where Drek'thar was, and Orgrim told him she was safe, and that if the rest of the orcs could see what Gul'dan had become, simply see what kind of orc he was, they would not follow him. Then I'll show them, Durotan said, as he made his way back to the campsite of the Frostwolf clan. He saw the bodies of his fallen brothers and sisters. He remembered their names as he prepared himself to challenge Gul'dan to Mak'gora. He had no real hopes of winning the fight, but he knew that if he could show the Horde what kind of leader they were following, then maybe it would make a difference. Gul'dan accepted the challenge. The two mighty orcs went at each other, and as expected, Gul'dan used his fell magic in the fight. There was no denying it. You cheat, Gul'dan! Voices rose from the crowd. Honor was still vital to these orcs. Durotan, in his final moments, he knew that he had done enough. He knew that he had shown the orcs what a vile creature Gul'dan actually was. He looked into the eyes of his longtime friend as the final life ebbed away. Orgrim Doomhammer had to witness his chieftain die. He picked up the charge and he asked them all, "You will follow this thing?" The orcs saw what allying themselves with the fell, with someone like Gul'dan would buy them, and they started to turn away. Orgrim recalled Durotan's words before the Frostwolves had marched south to join the Hordes. There is one law, one tradition which must not be violated, and that is that a chieftain must do whatever is truly best for the clan. Today, Durotan's clan was not just the Frostwolves, it was all of the Hordes. He had tried to do what's best for all of their people, and Doomhammer grasped one of Durotan's tusks, he twisted it free, and he took it with him for his son, so that the spirit of the father could teach him. "I will deal with you later," Orgrim Doomhammer came Gul'dan's voice, as he moved to take charge of the Horde again. He unleashed his fell magic against his own people, struck down some of those that were trying to walk away, and he forced the rest of them to obey. They would not stand in his way of conquering this world, of pleasing his master, as he forced the Horde to do his bidding. Orgrim left the body of his friend behind, as he turned his back on the Horde, and that's where the story of Durotan for the Warcraft movie ends. Now his mate Drek'thar, she did try to escape the attacking orcs, but even though Doomhammer had tried to buy her some time, it simply wasn't enough. She placed a basket with her baby Goel in the water, and she asked the spirit of water to take her child away, as she herself jumped on an attacker and gave her life for her child. Now the conclusion to the whole Alliance Horde war has not played out yet on the big screen, so it's hard to say what the future is going to bring for the Alliance, for Gul'dan, Garona, Goel, Doomhammer, all of that. It's very hard to predict. What we can say for certain is for Durotan, across all universes in all his forms, Durotan always tried to do what was best for his people. In the main universe, he believed that doing his best was going with the changes, with the formation of the Horde, that was the best plan, while on alternate Draenor, his father already saw that joining the Horde was not the right thing to do. In a movie universe, Durotan simply had no other choice. It was join the Horde or die on Draenor, and as he figured out that Gul'dan was really not the way to go, he made the hard decisions. He even tried to work together with the humans, work together with their enemy. His and Drek'thar's legacy would live on though. The Horde, as we see it today, is there mainly because of their baby Goel, Thrall as most know him, but that's a story for a whole different series. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I truly hope that you enjoyed the stories of Durotan. If you want more details, mainly for the Warcraft movie universe, then go check out the Warcraft movie in the theaters, or pick up the novels Durotan and the Warcraft movie novelization. I did my very best, but as always, it's impossible to go into every little detail, and they're definitely worth a read. As always, subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!